Norwalk Records, Norwalk Swap Meet, Compton Swap Meet, Rhodium Swap Meet, Santa Fe Springs. There were so many places to buy music back then. Can you talk to us about how you built relationships with swap meets back then and how you got your tapes on the shelves and who were some of your best clients?
Okay, well, what helped was I did have a background in sales, you know, going business to business. So that part I knew gave me an edge because I knew how to go into a store, open up an account, and so forth. And I'd say the first people who I started approaching, this guy named Vince. He worked at, well, he owned the store, record shop on Linwood Marketplace, right there,
Imperial, exactly.
Long Beach Boulevard. So I went there, you know, me and Vince became good friends, and you know, he was supporting the music. Mr. Kim, Compton Swap Meet. Yeah, so I grew up right down the street from Compton Swap Meet. Yeah, so, you know, Tucker and Chester. So, you know, I was familiar with, you know, Swap Meet and so forth. So, you know, well, I was there before there was Swap Meet. It used to be Sears.
Yeah.
But
get your school shopping, huh?
Yeah, but I was familiar. So, you know, I went in there, of course, and he supported the music from day one. And I was teaching at Carson High School, so I went to the Swap Meet there. And so I just went to where I knew the people first. And so I opened up accounts there and gave them some samples to play, because I knew if people heard it, they would buy it. So I did that. Then I hit the streets with the music. Back then we had cassettes, no CDs, so forth. So I remember having my TA at school just, you know, help me put the tapes together, because back then we had to glue them and all that. So what really kicked it off first, I said, well, let me go to where the people are. And so I drove out to Santa Ana. And so I saw like a group of guys. So they were all walking down the street. I think it was Bristol.
Okay.
And so I saw them. You know, I pulled over. You know, said, what's going on? You know, how y'all doing? And so I said, I want you to check this out. I had the cassette for 18 with a Bullet. And so they were like looking at it, hey, you know, my plan was just to go to Santa Ana, flood the market with tapes, just give them all out, you know, just to get a buzz going. And then the guy said, hey man, how much is this? And I was like, oh.
Bright light over your head, huh?
So I said, okay, you know, it was a cassette, so, you know, $2.
Okay.
You know, they sold for what, $3 in the store?
Yeah.
So $2. It was like, oh, you know, feel me? So did that. Next thing I know, same thing, you know, everywhere I went. And then I went to the swap meet there in Anaheim, indoor, and there was a lady named Annie, and, you know, she supported, and she was pushing it hard. And so next thing you know is just start playing in the swap meet, you know, and then I'd drive down the street and I'd hear the record.
Damn.
You know, everybody was bumping it, you know. And so we probably did that first single maybe 10 times, because we never could get the bass right. So we were like busting people's speakers, you know, left and right. And so and the guys would come up, hey man, you know the tape, you know, blew my speakers out and stuff. So it's like, yeah, you know. So and then from there it just started building and building and building, you know. You know, at the school, that was just, you know, Spanish Fly, you know, went there. So I got a buzz in the school, and Swap Meet was around the corner, so people started supporting it. And then Vince, who I mentioned earlier, he connected me with some people like for better distribution. And so, shoots right off the top, I had the biggest buzz on the street. You know, our record was probably, you know, it's probably #1.
And what year are we talking again?
This is probably 91.
Yeah,
it was, you know, I'm sure it was #1.
Yeah.
You know, so and it was, you know, ironically, I remember it hit 18
With the bullet.
With the
Damn,
bullet, you know,
on the chart.
Really?
And
so
wow.
and that was with no airplay, you know, nothing. So so we had a good start.
Damn.
Spanish Fly are an early influential Chicano rap crew from the harbor area of Los Angeles. They formed in the late 1980s and became one of the first Chicano acts to get recorded and released on Familia Records. Spanish Fly started making beats from old records and writing about barrio life and street realities in the late 1980s. They recorded and released material on Familia Records. Their record Trust No Man positioned them as one of the earliest recorded Chicano rap acts from that scene. Ese Daz, Tricks, and Rich Rock were the core members. The group name has also been referenced as Spanish Fly. Fly supposedly standing for Foolish Loco Youngster, although there have been variations in different write-ups. They're probably most known for the breakout single, Soy 18 with the Bullet, released around 1991-1992. The song is a hard barrio street narrative. The title and chorus, Soy 18 with the Bullet, and lyrics position the rapper as a straight-up young gangster figure. Its blunt, cinematic storytelling and local authenticity made it an underground anthem for Chicano audiences who hadn't seen many homegrown recordings that spoke so plainly about that experience. For Familia Records, it was effectively their first major underground Chicano rap hit, a record that helped put both the group and the small label on the map within the Latin West Coast underground rap networks. Sources describing Trust No Man and the single explicitly call it the label's first recorded and released Chicano rap LP and credit the single as a breakout underground moment. That helped open doors for the label and for other Chicano rap acts that followed. As an indie label, Familia operated in the DIY underground world. They did regional shows, they had tapes and CDs circulating the street, they played on local radio, and word of mouth spread. So a single like Soy 18 with the Bullet functioned as a de facto breakthrough for both artists and label within the community. The group never became a mainstream national act, but they retained a legacy in the Chicano rap scene. Their early work is still circulated on YouTube, streaming services, and specialist sites, and they're cited by West Coast Chicano rap historians as pioneers. What do you guys think so far about my interview with Murray Brumfield, owner and operator of Familia Records? Once I post the full interview, the link will be in the description below so you can check it out in its entirety. And please hit that like button if you have not already. And if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear, please hit that subscribe button. And if you enjoyed this video, you just might appreciate this bonus clip I'm about to play for you right now. Really looking forward to catching up with this brother, hip-hop legend, hip-hop pioneer. He's been on my show before, and he is back again. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chic, how are you, brother?
Doing all right, man. A little tired, but doing all right.
Yeah, I know it's a little bit later out there where you are, so I want to thank you for jumping on the phone with me and having a cool conversation about some early hip-hop.
All right. I'll help you out in whatever I can. You know, when I left the game, it was about 1982, and that's when I moved to South Carolina. So if I can help you out with anything, it would probably be the more early stuff.
That's exactly why I have you. I don't know if you keep up with the hip-hop world and what goes on. I'm sure you know Fat Joe, obviously, hip-hop pioneer, Latino pioneer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's been under some scrutiny. He's gone viral this past 24, 48 hours for a comment he made. And I would love your opinion on it because you were there, you know, pre-81, which is the perfect time frame when hip-hop was being created, when hip-hop was started. But Fat Joe said that blacks and Latinos are responsible for creating hip hop 50-50. And that was his quote, in end quotes. And for some reason, that's gotten a lot of people upset. Some are agreeing with him. But you were there, Mr. Schick, and
Well,
can you please give us your point of view on that comment and maybe, give us some backstories?
yeah, well, check it out. There's a few, because you catch Busta Rhymes talking about it, not about Fat Joe, but about Puerto Ricans and Caribbeans and blacks, were there from the beginning. He's online. I've seen him on Instagram talking about that, in one of his shows, and also Grandmaster Caz. Just recently, it's funny you talking about that, because I ran into something where I should have saved it, where he was talking about it, and from the beginning he was saying, hey, Latinos and blacks, you know what I mean? Specifically Puerto Ricans, because we grew up together, man, in the Bronx, all over New York, really. But to say that we weren't there, the crazy thing is, how Latinos can look white, and they can go all the way to the spectrum of so black they look blue.
Yep.
From straight hair
Roberto
to
Clemente,
hair.
Noriega.
Yeah.
People don't know that Nori is a Latino.
Nori. Yeah, Nori's Puerto Rican, man. And the thing about look, Lloyd Banks, half Puerto Rican. Jim Jones, part Puerto Rican.
DMC from Run DMC.
Well, check it out. Look at this. Jim Jones, part Puerto Rican. His middle name is Guillermo. So how more Latino? Marky D from the Fat Boys. Look, the first Puerto Rican rapper. Well, the first Latino MC credited, was Prince Whip. You'll find it all over social media.
Whom I've had on my show as well, yes.
You also had Ruby D. But look, Prince Whip, and another, that was Kaz's, he was with Kaz at one time. Another guy, he's half Puerto Rican, half Cuban, DJ Disco Wiz, who was with Grandmaster Caz before he was Grandmaster Caz, when he was Casanova Fly. They were the Mighty Force crew, Then you also had Junebug, who was the house DJ at Disco Fever, the famous Disco Fever. Yeah. You got Charlie Chase from the Cold Crush. Like I said, you got Ruby D, you got Whip, you got from the Fearless Four, you got Devastating Tito, the Master OC. Then look at this. A lot of the early hip hop records from Profile, from Enjoy, from Tough City Records was done by a Costa Rican / Panamanian dude named Pumpkin. He was responsible for many early rap records.
Damn.
So you can't say we weren't there. The only thing is, these guys, some of these guys look black. So you assume that they're black Americans, man. You know what I'm saying? So when media and people outside the Bronx see this in other states, in other countries or whatever, they see a color on a skin and they just assume this guy's black American. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And and it's hard because when people are reading things that other people wrote that aren't even part of the culture, that they're just writing things down because they're a news person or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're writing the stories from their eyes, not from the actual people's voices.
That's why I wanted you on my show, because right now we have 22-year-olds arguing with Fat Joe on what Fat Joe remembers. And I'm like, he was there. His cousins, his uncles were there. That's why I said I need you on my show, because we can't have these 22, 23-year-olds out there running with some sort of narrative.
Well, the 22, 23-year-olds, when they were born, hip-hop was already established, right? Or what they listened to, right. The rap portion of hip-hop, right? When I was born, there was no such thing as hip hop. I was born in 1957. I'm going to be 65 in December. There was no such thing as hip hop, you know. And then in 71, I got into graffiti, man. And while I'm into graffiti, a few years later, you start hearing music all over the streets. You know, this phenomenon that we know today, I've seen it in its infancy. You know, I've seen this thing happening in the streets, in the parks, you know, in house jams. And, you know, and it's crazy now when I look around and I see this and I'm like, man, these kids have no idea. You know, when they find out, that I was an old school rapper, you know, they're like, the first thing that comes out of their mouth, you don't look like a rapper, but damn, you know, I'm 65 just about. You know, what am I supposed to look like? Like I'm 20?
Right.
You know? But yeah, we were there, man. We were there.